Let me begin by telling you that your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you perceive in your external world is nothing more than the outpicturing of your internal states. When I say 3 days, I speak not of terrestrial time, but of states of consciousness that you must pass through. The first day represents your awakening to the truth that your imagination creates reality. The second day is the Sabbath, where you rest in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. The third day is the resurrection, where your desire manifests in the external world. Consider the story in Scripture where Jesus said he would rebuild the temple in 3 days. The people thought he spoke of the physical temple, but he spoke of the temple of consciousness. You see, every desire you hold is already fulfilled in a dimension of consciousness, waiting for you to enter that state. Let me share with you the exact process. When you desire something, you must first know that it already exists in what I call the fourth dimension, the dimension of imagination. Your task is not to create it, for it already exists. Your task is to occupy the state of consciousness where this desire is already fulfilled. Now, many of you have tried visualization before, but you've done it from a place of wanting, of needing, of lacking. This is why it hasn't worked. You must visualize from a place of already having. This is the secret of the 3-day manifestation. The natural unfoldment of your manifestation during these 3 days operates according to what I call the law of least action. Your outer world will reorganize itself in the most natural and effortless way to match your inner assumption. But you must allow this reorganization without interfering with the how. Many of you try to dictate the manner in which your desire should manifest. This is a fundamental error. During these 3 days, your only concern should be maintaining the feeling of your wish fulfilled. The bridge of incidents, the series of events that will lead to your manifestation, will build itself. Think of a seed planted in the ground. It doesn't strain or struggle to become a tree. It doesn't try to push through the soil. It simply contains within itself the pattern of its full expression, and nature automatically provides the means for its growth. Your consciousness works in exactly the same way. During these 3 days, you must be like that seed, confident in the pattern of fulfillment that you contain within your consciousness. Your imaginal act, when properly performed with feeling and conviction, contains within itself everything needed for its manifestation. Let me share with you a principle that few understand. The state of consciousness that you assume during these 3 days must be maintained without effort. If you're straining to maintain your state, you're doing it wrong. When you truly assume a state, it feels natural and effortless. Consider how effortlessly you maintain the awareness of being who you currently believe yourself to be. You don't wake up each morning and struggle to remember your name or your current circumstances. This is the same naturalness you must feel in your new state. Your manifestation will often come in ways you could never have planned or anticipated. This is why trying to plan the how is not only unnecessary, but can actually delay your manifestation. Your role during these 3 days is to maintain the end, the state of fulfillment, and let the law handle the means. Maintaining the end state during these 3 days requires a complete abandonment of your former concept of self. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot claim to be wealthy while simultaneously budgeting from a consciousness of lack. You cannot claim perfect health while planning around illness. This is where the real test of your understanding comes in. During these 3 days, you must completely abandon the old man, as Scripture calls it. The old man represents your former concept of self with all its limitations and doubts. You must die to that self completely. Let me share with you a profound truth. Your outer world will present you with every reason to return to your former state of consciousness. Friends will remind you of your past. Circumstances will seem to contradict your new assumption. Your own senses will deny your imaginal act. But during these 3 days, you must be like Daniel in the lion's den, completely unmoved by appearances. Your inner conviction must be stronger than all external evidence. This is not denial. This is understanding the true cause and effect relationship between consciousness and reality. Remember, what you are seeing now in your world is the effect of past assumptions. It has no power to prevent the expression of your new assumption, except the power you give it through your attention and belief. During these 3 days, you must give your attention solely to your new state. Your inner conversations during this period are crucial. When you talk to yourself, and you do it constantly, from what state are you talking? Are you talking from the state of having your desire fulfilled? Or are you talking from the state of wanting, hoping, trying to get? Every inner conversation must be from the consciousness of already being what you want to be. If you catch yourself in an inner conversation that contradicts your desired state, stop immediately and revise it. Your inner talking reveals your true state of consciousness. These inner conversations during the 3 days are the threads that weave the fabric of your reality. When you talk to yourself from the state of fulfillment, when your inner dialogue consistently supports your new state, you are literally birthing your new reality into existence. Let me give you a specific technique for monitoring your inner conversations during these 3 days. Imagine you have a faithful friend who follows you everywhere, listening to every word you say to yourself. Would this friend be convinced of your new state by your inner dialogue? Would they hear the conversations of someone who has what you desire, or someone who is still seeking it? You see, your subconscious mind is that faithful friend recording every inner conversation, every assumption, every feeling state. During these 3 days, you must feed it only the conversations that support your new state. If you desire wealth, your inner conversations must be those of a wealthy person. If you desire health, your inner dialogue must be from the state of perfect health. Consider the words of Scripture. Let the weak say, I'm strong. This is not about affirmations. It's about a complete transformation of your inner talking. During these 3 days, you must not only say you are what you desire to be, you must think from that state in your most private moments. Here's a crucial point that many miss. Your inner conversations must feel natural. If you're assuming wealth, don't have inner conversations about spending millions if that feels unnatural to you. Instead, have natural conversations that imply financial freedom. Perhaps you're telling a friend how wonderful it feels to be debt-free, or how satisfying it is to be able to help others financially. During these 3 days, watch your reactions when you're alone. When you read the news, when you see others' success, when you face challenges, what is your inner conversation? Your reactions reveal your true state of consciousness. If you react from the old state, revise immediately. Remember, these 3 days are not about duration, but about intensity of conviction. When your inner conversations consistently match your desired state, when your reactions automatically spring from your new state, when your private thoughts align with your assumption, that's when you've truly occupied your new state. Maintaining consistency in your new state during these 3 days requires what I call mental chemistry. Just as a chemist maintains the purity of their compounds, you must maintain the purity of your consciousness. Any thought, any feeling, any inner conversation that contradicts your new state must be immediately transmuted. Consider this. If you were to put a drop of ink in a glass of clear water, the entire glass becomes tinted. Your consciousness works the same way. One negative thought, one doubtful inner conversation, one fearful assumption can taint your entire mental atmosphere. This is why vigilance during these 3 days is crucial. Let me share with you a secret about maintaining this consistency. It's not about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts. It's about understanding so completely that your imagination creates reality, that any thought contrary to your desire becomes impossible to entertain. Think about this. Do you have to force yourself to believe that 2 + 2 = 4? Of course not. You understand it so completely that doubting it would be absurd. This is how your faith in your imaginal act must be during these 3 days. Your understanding must be so complete that when someone asks about your problem, you genuinely have to think to remember what they're talking about. This is not pretense. This is the result of fully occupying your new state of consciousness. During these 3 days, you must guard the mood of fulfillment. Moods are the fabric out of which your future is cut. If you maintain the mood of having what you desire, if you sleep in this mood, if you walk in this mood, if you live in this mood, your outer world must reshape itself to match this inner atmosphere. Here's a vital point about these 3 days. You must learn to distinguish between thinking of your desire and thinking from its fulfillment. When you think of something, you maintain the separation between yourself and your desire. When you think from it, you have embodied it in consciousness. Thinking from the end during these 3 days means that every thought, every action, every decision must spring from the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. This is not about pretending or acting. It's about completely inhabiting your new state. Let me explain this with absolute clarity. When you think from the end, you don't see your desire as something to be achieved in the future. You see it as an accomplished fact in the present. During these 3 days, there is no future tense in your consciousness regarding your desire. Consider how you think about your name. You don't hope to be your name. You don't affirm your name. You simply are your name. This is how natural your desired state must feel during these 3 days. You don't hope to be wealthy. You think, feel, and act from the consciousness of wealth. You don't anticipate perfect health. You think, feel, and act from the consciousness of perfect health. Here's a profound secret about these 3 days. They exist outside of time. In your imagination, where all creation takes place, there is no time. When you enter your imaginal scene, you enter a dimension where time does not exist. This is why your desire can manifest instantly when your consciousness is fully convinced. During these 3 days, you must learn to live in the end. Every morning when you wake, your first thoughts must be from the end. Every night when you sleep, your last thoughts must be from the end. Every moment in between must be lived from the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Let me share with you a technique I call living backward. Instead of seeing your desire as something to move toward, see it as something from which you are living. Just as you remember your past, remember your desire as something that has already happened. Feel the satisfaction, the completion, the naturalness of it being done. Your entire mental activity during these 3 days must be subordinated to your new assumption. Every thought that doesn't contribute to the naturalness of your new state must be dismissed, not by force, but by your understanding that it has no power except the power you give it. The mental discipline required during these 3 days is not about forcing yourself to think certain thoughts. It's about understanding the laws so completely that disciplined thinking becomes natural. When you truly grasp that consciousness is the only reality, controlling your thoughts becomes as natural as controlling your steps when you walk. Let me share with you what I call the mental diet for these 3 days. Just as you wouldn't eat food that you know would poison your body, you must not consume thoughts that would poison your assumption. Every mental meal, every inner conversation, every imaginative act must nourish your new state of consciousness. During these 3 days, you must be aware that your 5 senses are giving you reports based on your past assumptions. They will try to tell you that your new state is not true. This is where most people falter. They trust their senses more than their imagination. But remember, your senses can only show you what has been. Your imagination shows you what can be. Here's a crucial point about these 3 days. You must learn to distinguish between the voice of your old state and the voice of your new state. The old state will speak to you of limitations, of past failures, of reasons why your desire cannot be fulfilled. The new state speaks with quiet confidence, with the calm assurance of present possession. Consider how a wealthy person thinks about money. They don't constantly think about money, they simply know it's there. This is how you must be during these 3 days. Don't constantly think about your desire. Live from the quiet assumption that it is already yours. Your mental discipline must extend to your emotional reactions. During these 3 days, you must react to every situation from your new state of consciousness. If something happens that would normally upset you, you must react from the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. This is not suppressing emotions, it's choosing which state of consciousness will generate your emotions. Let me share with you a powerful technique for maintaining this discipline. Throughout these 3 days, ask yourself this question. If my desire were already fulfilled, how would I react to this situation? Then react that way. Not as an act, but as a natural expression of your new state. Emotional mastery during these 3 days is crucial because your emotional reactions reveal your true state of consciousness. It's not what you say or do that matters most. It's how you feel. Your feelings are the secret speaking voice of your assumptions. Here's a profound truth about emotional mastery. You don't need to create new emotions. You need to occupy the state produces the emotions you desire. During these 3 days, if you're truly living in the state of your wish fulfilled, the appropriate emotions will flow naturally. Consider this: when you've actually achieved something, you don't need to generate feelings of achievement. The feeling comes naturally from the state of having achieved. This is how your emotions should be during these 3 days: natural, effortless, flowing from your assumed state. Let me share with you what I call the feeling tone of fulfillment. Every state has its own feeling tone, its own emotional frequency. During these 3 days, you must become so familiar with the feeling tone of your fulfilled desire that you can return to it instantly as you can recall a familiar melody. Your emotional life during these 3 days must be consistent with having your desire fulfilled. If you're assuming wealth, you can't feel the anxiety of lack. If you're assuming perfect health, you can't feel the fear of illness. Your emotional reactions must automatically spring from your new state. Here's a secret about emotional mastery. Emotions follow thought. During these 3 days, if you find yourself experiencing unwanted emotions, don't fight them. Instead, change the thought that's producing them. Change your inner conversation, and your emotions will change automatically. Remember, during these 3 days, you're not trying to create something new. You're stepping into a state where your desires are already fulfilled. The emotions appropriate to that state are already there, waiting for you to embody them. You don't need to manufacture them. You need to assume the state that naturally produces them. The feeling tone you must maintain during these 3 days is not one of excitement or anticipation. It's the calm, natural feeling of already being what you desire to be. This is a crucial distinction that many miss. They maintain the feeling of wanting their desire rather than the feeling of having it. Let me share with you the subtle but vital difference. When you genuinely have something, there's a quiet certainty about it. You don't walk around constantly thinking about having it. You simply know it's yours. This is the feeling tone you must capture and maintain during these 3 days. You think about how you feel about something you absolutely know to be true, like your name or where you live. There's no effort in maintaining that feeling of certainty. During these 3 days, your desired state must feel just as natural, just as effortless to maintain. Here's a profound secret about the feeling tone: it must be maintained even in your sleep. This is why your last thoughts before sleep are so crucial. During these 3 days, you must fall asleep in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Your subconscious mind works throughout the night to make your dominant feeling tone your new reality. The feeling tone I'm speaking of is not superficial emotion. It's a deep, underlying sense of knowing. During these 3 days, if someone were to question your assumption, it should feel as absurd as someone questioning whether you are who you know yourself to be. Consider this. When you're healthy, you don't walk around constantly affirming health. You simply feel healthy naturally. When you're wealthy, you don't constantly think about being wealthy. You simply feel financially secure naturally. This is the kind of natural feeling tone you must maintain. Your feeling tone during these 3 days must be so consistent that it becomes your default state. When challenges arise, when circumstances seem to contradict your assumption, your feeling tone of fulfillment must remain undisturbed, like the depths of the ocean remaining calm despite surface storms. Maintaining undisturbed consciousness during these 3 days is your final and most important task. Like a deep lake that remains unmoved by surface winds, your consciousness must remain stable in your assumed state, regardless of external circumstances. Remember this final truth: these 3 days are not measured by the clock, by the depth and consistency of your consciousness. When you can maintain your new state without effort, when your feeling tone remains undisturbed by external events, when your inner conversations naturally flow from your fulfilled desire, then you have truly completed your 3 days. The law is your servant, but you must remain faithful to your assumption until it hardens into fact. Like Neville's story of Abdullah telling him you are in Barbados, you must persist until your desired state feels more real than any contrary evidence. Your 3 days are complete when you no longer have to remind yourself of your desire's fulfillment, when you simply are what you desire to be. At this point, manifestation is not just possible, it is inevitable. Let me leave you with this final wisdom. The power that you seek is already within you. These 3 days are not about creating something new. They are about awakening to what already is. Your desire is already fulfilled in consciousness. Your task is simply to occupy that state until it becomes your physical reality. Trust in the law, maintain your assumption, and watch as your world reshapes itself to match your new state of consciousness. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you are conscious of being, you must become. Thank you for your attention, and remember, the same power that created the universe lies within you, waiting to be acknowledged and expressed through your consciousness.